Hi, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, Texas on Sunday, December the 28th. And as we like to do on just about every Sunday, we're chatting with our good friend George Rodriguez in South Texas. George, it's got to be beautiful down there at Christmas time. I mean, I've been there. I was there for the day that they were playing that bowl game in San Antonio. Remember when they used to play that bowl game? I don't know if they do anymore.
The Alamo Bowl is still a very big one.
The Alamo Bowl. And when is that? I thought it was the
That's
30th,
going to be
right?
Tuesday night,
So the 31st or the 30th? The
30th.
30th, yeah. All right. And I was down there for that. And I was trying to remember what school Purdue was playing. I remember the year that Purdue was playing. And it was a lot of fun to see all the people from Indiana who were down here enjoying the nice weather, of course, that they don't have in Indiana this time of the year. And their mascot is the Boilermakers. So they had this big like train. So
Mhm.
it was a lot of fun. But I thought the atmosphere in San Antonio, and I was down there on a family vacation, but I thought the atmosphere in San Antonio was lovely this time of the year. I mean, I have to tell you, I think it's when you combine the Mexican culture with the American culture, with the great food that you have in South Texas. I mean, it was a delight. In San Antonio, of course, is a very pretty city. So we had a great time down in the Alamo City, right? Is that what they call it? The Alamo City?
Yep.
The Alamo City? Yeah. And we even went to see the Alamo, and I thought the Alamo was bigger than what it really turned out to be. But then I guess I was watching the John Wayne movie too
Yeah.
much. But it's got to be beautiful down there. I just, I had a wonderful experience when I was down there around this time, George.
It is. The temperature is great right now. The temperature is in the 70s, although
Oh,
we're
wow.
supposed to get a cold front come in later tonight.
Me too.
But it is really it's been a very nice Christmas season.
Yeah. Well, I hope that we're getting a lot of wind for some reason. The winds are pretty rough right now up here, so maybe that's what you're going to get. But the temperatures have dropped a little bit as well up here in Texas. It's 51 now, so
Mm.
51 and windy. They tell me here on the laptop. So when it's 51 and windy, that can be chilly.
Yeah.
I mean, you can feel chilly. Anyway, well, before we get into all the serious stuff, I just wanted to wish a happy birthday to a native Texan. Edgar Winter is 79 years old today. And Edgar, of course, for those of us, for people like you and me, he was a rocker when we were growing up and had that great sound. But I had no idea that he was from Texas, George. So that's, let's
Yeah.
welcome him to the Texas Hall of Fame.
You have some great rockers,
We
like
did.
the Big Bopper, of course, and
Yes.
and uh, and um,
Well,
um,
Buddy Holly was
Buddy
born
Holly.
here. Uh,
We've got our share.
Trini Lopez.
Trini Lopez, yeah,
Trini Lopez was a native. And also that song, Mendocino. Remember that song,
yeah.
Mendocino?
Doug
By
Sam,
that band?
Doug
Yeah,
Sam is
yeah,
from San Antonio.
that's right. And also the fellow who did Wooly Bully. Remember that song, Wooly
Yeah,
Bully? Sam the Sham and the
Sam.
Pharaohs.
Right.
His real name was Domingo Sarduño, and he was born in Dallas around the same time that Trini Lopez. They kind of grew up together in the same neighborhood here in Dallas. But Wooly Bully, that was another great. I never understood what that song was about, and when you try to get into the lyrics, it gets even more confusing. But anyway, so happy number 79 to Edgar Winter. And if you remember his songs, they were the kinds of songs that your mother would always say, come on, just turn it down.
Yeah.
You don't have to blow up the house, just turn it down. Anyway, all right. So happy number 79 to Edgar Winter. Well, George, I want to get into a little bit of Trump Derangement Syndrome tonight because I think there's too much of it. And but before I do, let's talk about James Tallarico and Jasmine Crockett and what is starting to shape up as a campaign that seems to be advantageous to Jasmine Crockett at the moment. It could change. They're still almost 3 months away. But how do you see it? I mean, how does the campaign look to you at the moment? We're talking about the Democrat primary, of course.
Yeah, the Democrat. I mean, as far as the Democrats go, Jasmine Crockett has the notoriety. She's got all of the attention of the media, and she's getting all of the ink, so to speak. She's getting the media attention, and I think it's going to be very difficult for Tallarico to take that away from her. I mean, she has no problem in making outrageous comments, which catch everybody's attention, and which the left loves to fan. I mean, the left does not believe in truth. So what we're seeing is literally a candidate that is willing to say whatever outrageous thing that she wants to, and the left standing by her on it. And it is, I mean, it's going to be, I'm not sure what kind of a campaign Tallarico can run at this point against somebody like that.
Well, he can try to be,
reasonable.
The guy always quoting the Bible, that seems to be doing what every other speech.
And I'm not sure how that will work out.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. That's right. But it is interesting to me because I was just by sheer chance today, while I was waiting for President Trump and Zelensky to say something, when that press conference they had, I was watching it on my tablet, and it was one of these internet channels, and they had they were talking about Texas politics, and it was out of Houston, and somebody was talking about Gina Hinojosa, who could very well be probably will be the Democrat nominee for governor. And she's not exactly a centrist either.
No.
So you're going to have potentially for the Democrats, their lineup is going to be running for governor,
Leftist.
Gina Hinojosa, who is really from the left, Jasmine Crockett, who she's kind of like from the Twilight Zone. And I'm sitting there saying on this side, you're going to have Greg Abbott, who is well known by most people, and then whoever the Republican nominee is. And I just don't see that being a ticket that wins anything for them in Texas. I mean, Gina Hinojosa, I don't know much about the lady, but you probably know more about her. But she's certainly not from the center of the Democratic Party, George.
She has been very, very outspoken on abortion.
Right.
She's been very, very outspoken on the issue of open borders. She's been very, very outspoken on repeat offenders. On that one of her favorite phrases is that there's too many people, too many minorities in jail. Never mind that too many minorities commit crimes.
Right.
That's beside the point.
And that too many, if I may, forgive me for interrupting you, and that too many minority police officers are arresting them.
Exactly.
And I mean, that's the part that always gets lost in this. I mean, a lot of times they're not being arrested by white police cops.
No,
or
not especially
they're being arrested, certainly in South Texas, they're being arrested by fellow Hispanics.
Correct.
So I mean, where's the racism here?
Correct.
Anyway, I had to jump that in.
No, and she loves to criticize rich people. Right. She loves to use the phrase that they're not paying their fair share of taxes, although I'm not sure what statistics she uses other than her own vision, her own opinion.
Right.
All of these things. I mean, she is not somebody who will sit down, in my opinion, and try to negotiate a middle ground with Republicans in the state house. So I'm not sure, how she's going to run and what her policies are going to be other than leftist policies.
Right. Yeah. And that's, if she pairs up with Jasmine Crockett, that's going to be a heck of a duo. But, the concern that she has with abortion, if I was asking her about it, I was interviewing her and she would say, okay, she kept talking about women's rights to choose. Okay. I would say, all right, Madam Hinojosa, what we have in Texas was the product of the legislature elected by the people of Texas. So that's the abortion policy that we have, or the abortion law that we have. What where are women being denied anything?
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't the
You can
product.
always go across the state line and get
And
one.
that's right. You can always go to New Mexico and get one. Apparently, a lot of people do.
Yeah.
But my whole point is who's denying anybody what? The abortion policy that we have in Texas is the product of a legislature elected by Texans and signed into law by a governor who the last time he ran got a pretty nice majority of the vote. So who's denying anybody what? This is what confuses me, George. And as far as the rich are not paying their fair share, what is she basing that on?
Right.
What graph is she looking at? You know, the ones that I've looked at show things like half of the country is paying 97% of the federal income tax.
Exactly.
So what is she talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's not a good team for them to be heading into the election. You know, Hinojosa and Crockett running against, let's say, Abbott and Cornyn, or Abbott and Paxton. I mean, that's not a good ticket for them. Now, I want to talk about something else. Normally, we get into more specific things, but today being the last show of 25 and looking ahead to 26, I wanted to talk about something called Trump Derangement Syndrome. I'm sure you've heard about this. And that's because I have personally been, you might say, the victim of some comments that I think are clearly inspired by Trump Derangement Syndrome. I have gotten some comments on my blog about that. And I keep asking myself, what gets into people when they think that way, where it's like everything about Trump is evil and there's no opening. But I think Trump Derangement Syndrome, getting back to Jasmine Crockett and Gina Hinojosa, is going to be a very bad problem for the Democrats. There's an article that came out today, and I have a post about it tomorrow where I talk about this article, where the point of the article is that the biggest problem the Democrats have is the Democrats, George, that the people they're putting on TV they're not persuading anybody. They're simply, speaking to a smaller and smaller audience, but they're not convincing anybody. I mean, they like what they say, of course, they enjoy what they say, and they have a lot of fun making fun of Trump. Okay, enjoy it, but you're not persuading anybody, George.
We've got, what we've got is an opposition that is led by talking heads who are personalities, not who are politicians or statesmen. And these personalities, like the nighttime hosts, all they do is criticize and make fun. They don't propose anything in reality. I mean, it's very, very interesting to see. I saw a recent poll that showed that something like 45% of women that watch daytime TV get their news from The View.
Oh, wow.
Now think about that. Getting your news from The View. First of all, I am not sure what kind of news they give you other than poking fun or criticizing Republicans, conservatives, and Trump. And, if that's all they're doing, then what kind of information are these folks disseminating? What kind of information are these people who listen to them receiving? So it is shallow news. It is shallow information. And consequently, these people depend more on their feelings than they do on reality and truth.
Right. You're exactly right. Now, the good news about The View is that a lot of women don't watch it. I mean, many do, of course.
Yeah.
But a lot of women do not watch it because I think The View has gone way wacko to the left. And even the Republican lady that they have on there doesn't really fight for anything. She's just kind of, she's not really I've always felt that what the View needs would be somebody like Laura Ingraham on the View, somebody like that, or somebody who will actually fight back and not take any of the crap. But what amazes me is the obsession that these people have with race, that they're constantly talking about race. And I mean, I just got a comment from a friend the other day saying that I should criticize Donald Trump and point out the fact that he said that there's good people who are white nationalists. Well, he didn't actually say that. That has been debunked a million times. He wasn't saying that at all. What he was actually saying is that there are good people on both sides of that argument.
Correct.
The Confederate argument. And I know people personally, George, who are, who have a historical connection to the Confederacy, either because their family a long time ago fought for the South or because they lived in the South or whatever. But these are not bad people. They're certainly not racist people. And yet they keep, it seems like they've reduced everything to white nationalism, to
they vilify everybody that does not agree with them. They vilify them.
That's
the best way to vilify them is to brand them racist. And that's the bottom line.
And the other thing that is now, I guess, in style with our critics is to somehow say that the GOP supports Hitler, or that somehow, we're supposed to disown the GOP because, I don't know, 3 clowns in the party or somebody like that decided to say something nice about Hitler.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of Democrats who said a lot of nice things about a lot of people, but I don't hold the party liable for that.
I see lots of shirts in college all the time, and I question as to whether or not those kids really know what they're talking about.
Well, sure. Che Guevara, exactly right. I mean, you walk around, you go to some of these, or the funniest thing, of course, is Gays for Palestine.
Yeah.
and one of these marches, and I'm saying, really? Gays for Palestine? That, or the other one that I love, we're living on occupied territory.
Yes.
I love that one. But yet, I can somehow, in my mind, I can make a distinction between somebody who says we're living in occupied territory and a liberal, because liberals don't say that, at least the ones I used to know. But now it seems like this Trump derangement syndrome has taken these people to such levels of stupidity, and I hate to put it that way, but that's what it is.
It's giving them credibility. It's amazing. I mean, how can you give credibility to outrageous comments and behavior? Yet that is exactly what has happened.
But by responding to it, I guess this is, by responding to it, then you make it, you give it how can
credibility.
Credibility. So I just let it go. And I see it, I delete it. I mean, I read the first line and I know where it's going and I just delete it, because it's like, why am I even, why am I giving credibility to that? And it's like, I don't know what's happening on the other side, or not everybody, of course, but many of them. But unfortunately,
it's emotionalism that has taken over.
Yeah, but the problem, and you're exactly right. I agree with you. It's emotionalism. But what I'm trying to say is that this is the face. These are the people that represent the party on TV, the people that the American people are watching. Joey Behar, for example. Joey Behar on The View, all right, who is just nothing but anti-Trump, period. If Trump were to discover a cure for cancer tomorrow, she would say, "Oh, it's all a big fake. He really didn't do that." I mean, it seems like they've lost all kind of self-discipline, if I could put it that way, George. And they're just crazy. How else can I explain it?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's very little you can say, and certainly very little arguing with people like that, because then uh, all you're doing is going around in circles with them. There's no determination of truth. We should be always seeking truth and wisdom, facts, and that is everything but what these people want to discuss.
And they're not really interested in a debate,
No,
because if they were interested in a debate, they would come halfway. They would meet you on the 50-yard line and say, okay, let's have a conversation. But they call you a racist, a white nationalist, a buffoon, member of a cult. And then they say, what do you think of that? Well, I'm hanging the phone up, you idiot. I don't want to hear any more from you. But this is the thing. And this is what I find disturbing, because it shows up in other things, not just, friends that we may have. It shows up in the Congress. And you're seeing it with Obamacare, George. I mean, any Democrat who doesn't understand that Obamacare is a total, complete failure has not been living in the real world. And this is not about Obama anymore. He's, it's just his name on the bill. But it's like they're so afraid of their own people, of these primaries, that there's not one of them who's willing to say, you know what? Yeah, we need to take a look at Obamacare because it's not working. Or yes, these subsidies were supposed to be temporary. We told you that. But it's like they're so afraid of a primary that it's like they will not work. They won't come over and sit down and work with a Republican. I mean, look what happened to Fetterman in Pennsylvania.
Yep.
For simply opposing the shutdown. They're talking about a primary against a guy who is a pretty liberal guy, George.
It doesn't matter. I mean, they want. I mean, it's so typical of Marxism.
Yeah.
Of a communist party system where you have to follow the dictates of the party. You have to follow the party line. Otherwise, you are punished. And, I mean, the punishment can be everything from Stalin's Russia, where you were shot, to today, where you're doxxed, where you are banished, where you are primaried. And, if people understood that that's what's happening versus the whole idea of open debate, of transparency, of freedom of speech, then they'd recognize what kind of a pathway they're following.
Right. And whether it's Obamacare, where no Democrat is willing to say, okay, this is not working. Let's have a conversation. Maybe we need to redo this whole thing, because they're afraid of a primary. I mean, there's a fellow in New York, Daniel Goldman, who is about as anti-Trump as they come. And he criticizes Trump all the time. He's going to get a primary. I guess the left of the party doesn't think he criticizes Trump hard enough.
Hard enough, I guess.
Yeah. And he's going to get a primary. Another issue, too, where I think it's becoming very obvious that our political system is simply not speaking to each other anymore, is what's happening in Minnesota with all of this evidence of fraud. I mean, if you say
they're denying it. I mean, it's amazing.
I know. But if you say anything about it, you're immediately a racist.
Oh yeah, you're Islamophobic. You're Islamophobic. Yeah. You're racist. You don't like poor people.
Right.
You don't.
Or
like
the most ridiculous thing that I heard from the lady who's running for, I guess, governor or attorney general or somebody, or the Senate. There's a lady up there who's running, and she said Somalians built Minnesota.
Wow.
That's a shocker. I had no idea that. I mean, I'm sure
again,
that many.
It is an absurd statement,
right?
That we should be able to clearly determine that it is absurd. However, if you challenge the statement, again, you're Islamophobic, you are racist, etc., etc., etc.
But it becomes very difficult to govern.
Yes.
when you take a position like that. I mean, it's one thing, for example, I remember I used to hear this, that Cubans made Miami. I used to hear that all the time. That Cubans made Miami. And what they really meant to say is that the inflow of Cubans had been positive for Miami because it before the Cubans came, it was kind of basically a winter town, sort of a vacation city where people from the north came and vacationed. And when the Cubans came, all of a sudden there was a steady population there, and there were businesses and there were banks and, you know, the usual stuff that happens when you build a business. But it wasn't like they said, you know, Cubans built Florida. They just said Cubans built Miami, but they did to some extent.
Yeah.
I mean, they did make Miami a different city, let's say. I mean, and I've heard this from people who are not even Cubans, who will say, yeah, we used to go to Miami. I mean, my friend Bill Katz used to go to Miami when he was a kid with his parents from New York. They take the train and go down there and to the beach for a couple of weeks vacation and then come back home. But what they remember was kind of Miami was a winter city for the people from the north, not like it is now where you have a full-blown economy and everything. So that's, you know, that is different in Miami, because I do think the Cubans made great contributions, just like Mexicans have made contributions to Texas and the Southwest. So you can say that, but to somehow accuse somebody of being a racist just because you're concerned about all this money being misspent, that's just crazy. But that's where we are in our rhetoric, and that's all Trump Derangement Syndrome, as far as I'm concerned, George.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah. Just makes it very difficult to get things done and to govern, particularly when you have difficult problems like the Affordable Care Act that, you know, isn't really very affordable and it isn't working. Well, anyway, I just thought tonight we kick around some of these things. Any New Year's resolutions, George? Anything that you really want to see next year?
More Republican victories,
Right.
more free economy, and a stronger America.
I'm going to agree with you on all three of those, but I'm going to add a fourth one. The Cowboys have to make a decision for the 2025 season, I guess, 25-26, the next season. They got to make a decision if it's time to let Dak Prescott go. Not a criticism of Dak. He's very good, but he just doesn't have the team. So maybe it's time to, you know, maybe trade him, get some draft choices like they did with Herschel Walker many years ago, and pick up some draft choices and start thinking a little bit about the future, because he's very good. He's got great numbers. When you look at all the numbers, he's great, but they're not winning with him. And it's not his fault, but they're not winning. So they need to make some improvements in the team, and maybe they can spend the money.
They need a defense, and they need a line to do some running.
That's right. That's exactly right. And my other sports resolution is that I hope the Rangers in 2026, I hope they start taking more pitches and not be swinging for the fences all the time.
As much.
I like to see their offense change a little bit. Take a few more pitches and don't hit for the fences all the time. And of course, the resolutions, we always have personal resolutions and good health and happiness to all my friends and family. And my New Year's resolution with you, George, is that we keep on doing this, and that next year we not only have a lot
more
to talk
things to talk about.
Yeah, that's right. We have more Jasmine to talk about next year. She's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm almost wishing she wins the primary because it's gonna be a lot of fun having her running for the Senate. Well, George, Happy New Year.
Thank you very much.
In San Antonio. And any big celebration down there for New Year? Any ball dropping or anything like that?
Well, there's a huge celebration downtown, but I'm going to attend a couple of parties on New Year's Eve and then on New Year's Day watch football.
What else is there to do, right?
Yeah, really.
What else is there to do on New Year's Day? I mean, other than relax from the party and watch a little football. But that's another thing, though. The bowl games are different now because, I mean, on New Year's Day, you would always watch the Cotton Bowl. But I guess there is going to be a Cotton Bowl. I
There
think
is
that
a
maybe they
Cotton
had
Bowl,
it,
only it's called a playoff now.
the playoff, yeah. Before it was kind of a reliable, there'd be Texas teams playing for
It'd be a
sure.
standalone. It would be a standalone
Yeah,
bowl.
a standalone. Yeah, now it's kind of, I don't even know who's going to be playing in the Cotton Bowl because A&M is out and Texas is out. So
Texas Tech.
yeah, well, Texas Tech. Well, at least we got Texas.
Texas
All
Tech
right.
is.
So Texas Tech is playing. All right. So the Red Raiders will save the Cotton Bowl and keep the Texas spirit going. But I remember, my gosh, not that long ago when there was always either the Aggies or the Longhorns or something like that in the Cotton Bowl. And I thought that was kind of cool when it was that way. But, you know, as they say, things change. You know, not always for the better, but they change. Well, Happy New Year, George. And as always, thank you so much for giving us your time. And we'll get back together next Sunday, which is going to be, what day is next Sunday? Is that the 7th?
That is next Sunday is the 4th.
The 4th. Okay, January 4th. All right. So I look forward to chatting with you again on the 4th, and Happy New Year, and may all your resolutions come true.
Thank you very much. Have a good one.
All right. Thank you so much. Our good friend, George Rodriguez down in San Antonio. Always enjoy chatting with him. You know, just very briefly, what I mentioned to George, I've seen so much evidence of this Trump Derangement Syndrome. And look, I understand people get crazy and passionate about politics, but when we have reached the point, our politics has reached the point where people can no longer have a conversation. No Democrat will come over and try to negotiate with Obamacare, because if they do, they're going to get a primary. Or come over and try to work with Donald Trump, because if they do, they're going to get a primary. That's what's happening. Or they come up with these idiotic accusations of Hitler and white nationalism and all that kind of stuff. That's just not healthy for the country. You got to have some people in the middle who are willing to accept that there are mutual solutions to problems. But I think Trump Derangement Syndrome has taken us to this point. Well, just because Trump is behind the idea that therefore it must be evil. And that's just not healthy for the country. That's all I can say. That's not healthy for the country, because I don't think most Americans think that way. I don't think most Americans are in that crazy corner where they hate one person or another. I think they want some solutions. But it's kind of hard to have solutions when any solution that means working with Trump immediately becomes Trump Derangement Syndrome, and you start getting all the stuff that we've grown accustomed to. Anyway, that's one of my New Year's resolutions. I hope Trump Derangement Syndrome dies, because it's killing the country. It's hurting the country a lot. And it's hurting Democrats as well, not just Trump. It's hurting Democrats as well, as it's just hurting the debate, because we cannot have an honest conversation about anything. Because if you try to talk about anything, you're either a racist or you're anti-immigrant or whatever. Well, that's not healthy. That's not healthy for the country. And that's where I'm coming from. Well, thank you for listening. Our thanks again to George Rodriguez in South Texas, and we'll talk to you later. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas.